While in another city, politicians are blasted for failing to show any leadership.
But our top story tonight, residents of West Contra Costa are reeling after a weekend of shooting and killing. As we reported earlier, 21 people were wounded in a 30-hour period in a series of drive-by shootings. The last few weeks, the violence has escalated. Tonight, authorities are making changes. Channel 7's Leslie Brinkley is live at the West County Detention Center. Leslie, I understand that extra patrols were dispatched tonight.
That's exactly right, Richard. They've sent out 6 patrol cars to an area where they usually would only send out 2, to give you an example. But there are doubts that kind of extra visibility is going to put any kind of an end to the ongoing gang wars here. Tonight I rode through North Richmond with a patrol unit to take a first-hand look at a neighborhood racked by absolutely senseless violence.
Okay, this is North Richmond.
There is a street culture here among kids who scatter when the patrol car cruises by, pulling hoods and shirts up over their faces. But these are kids, sometimes as young as 14, bold enough to reemerge moments later, armed and dangerous enough to intimidate an entire neighborhood. A burned-out or abandoned house can serve as a home base for gang meetings and drug deals. The violence is getting vicious.
I work out here 5 nights a week, and there isn't a night that hasn't gone by where I've heard shots fired at least once. Sometimes they're in the air, sometimes they're into trees, sometimes they're at one another.
Like this past Saturday night on this corner, 5 people gunned down in a drive-by shooting. But the victims are all too scared of retaliation to even talk to the police.
In the old days, you didn't think anything about one officer responding in there and trying to catch bad guys, etc. But now, with as many people that are armed with automatic weapons, we try to set up and bring in teams and try to seal off an area. There just seems to be such a senselessness to the violence. People just don't seem to care whether or not they're killing other people or being shot at themselves. We got to get to the kids. We've got to turn them away from this.
There's only so much that can be done. Severe budget cuts in Contra Costa County mean that this brand new $56 million jail could possibly close. A hiring freeze means that there are 39 fewer deputies on the street than a year ago. Tonight so far, no additional drive-by shootings to report, but there have been several carjackings at gunpoint. Reporting live in Richmond, Leslie Brinkley, Channel 7 News Tonight.
Boy, what a night. Thanks, Leslie. Another Bay Area.
Now, in 1997, you released your debut album, Life Insurance. It peaked at 23 on the U.S. charts, number 5 on R&B. What do you remember about recording that album?
You know, and I hope a lot of young aspiring artists really listen to this part. You know, P was teaching to be a businessman. I always wanted to be Russell Simmons. I never wanted to be LL, but LL was one of my favorites, him and Scarface. And, so I was in the rap, but, I think P looked at me more like business, but okay, yeah, sir, do rap, he nice. And it took for E40 to hear something of mine, and E40 don't even know he's responsible for me putting Life Insurance out because E40 would listen to a song I had called Fuck a Dead Man. And he actually told P, who is that? P said, that's Sir. And 40 was like, yo, you got to put him out. You got to do your thing. And P was going to do it, but I think when he got that push to listen to 40, somebody he learned to hustle from, who he respect the music hustle from, and his whole family, and, stick with it and all that, he started saying, hey, what, it's your time. Let's get your commercial done. Let's do this, do that. And so when I went in, I felt like the underdog, like the guy that the album might not be expected from now. You know what I'm saying? So when I went in there and I said, you know what, I got to be who I am. My dialect is from New Orleans, but I learned to rap on the East Coast. So my style, why it was so different, is mixed. You know what I'm saying? Because I do flow in the lyrically way, but at the same time, I speak my New Orleans dialect, and then I had a dark thought of mine inside because Scarface was my idol. And so, so doing that album, it was like, I've been waiting a long time to do it. And I knew I was the underdog. So I'm like, I know what everything on the limit sound like, but I want to do it this way. You know what I'm saying? And so, and KL and I, we had been bracing for that moment for a lot of years. And so he already had the sounds in mind. He already had the styles. And Craig B was a producer of mine that came along with me, you know what I'm saying, to No Limit, that we brought to No Limit. and he knew my sound because we worked so many late nights, and he knew I was different. You know, and the other producers, Carlos, they understood that I was like not the typical Southern rapper or New Orleans rapper. You know, I spoke New Orleans, but I was more East Coast, which gave them ways to try. You know, so it was the experience, man. I mean, everybody was there to help me, you know, but I myself was like, I'm gonna show. I know I'm the underdog, and I'm gonna give an album that's gonna be a classic, and it's gonna be legendary. You know, and that's what, you know, God willing, I was blessed, you know, to all the supporters out there that's what they calling it now.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely a classic. It's interesting that you said E40 because me being a hip hop nerd, I would kind of say your styles are a little similar. You know, the whole rapping fast, and I hate to say the term offbeat, but you go offbeat for a little, but you jump right back on.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And you know, at first I hated it, right? And, you know, hated it meaning like I was like, man, what, you know, why did I change up like that? But it just came to me in that manner. And, you know, once I saw people accepted it, and then 40 is somebody I you know, I idolize. He's in that realm of my top 5.
Oh.
And so, you know, and Bone Thugs and stuff like that, and then Paul from 3-6 Mafia, you know, and then my East Coast influences, you know, to me, the Nas's and, you know, and Just Ice, you know, somebody that young dudes don't know about, that was a hell of a rapper, you know what I'm saying? And so, and, what's the guy, oh my God, EPMD.
Eric Sermon.
And so, yeah, you know, so, and then I really studied K Solo. That's where the spelling stuff came from.
No
People
shit.
say you spell. Yeah, K Solo was one of my favorite artists, and I studied him. You know what I'm saying? Like, studied his style of spelling and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it faster with a Bone Thug D40 style. You know what I'm saying? And so, and do it my way. So, you know what I mean? Everything came from studying with me.
Yeah. And,
you know, and it's funny to look, what's the kid, Blueface? I'm sorry, I mean,
that's exactly who I was thinking about. I hope you wouldn't take offense to that, because I was going to say, you birthed Blueface. I mean, you were, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You birthed Blueface.
Yeah.
Real talk. That's funny that you said that was going to be the next name out of my mouth.
Yeah, same. You know, somebody told me that, and then on Twitter, and I was like, you know, and people be on the kid, and I'm like, man, you know, one day I would love to, you know, to meet him, you know what I'm saying, and talk to him and stuff like that. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna only get better, and then they're gonna get used to it. You've created your own lane now, just like I created my own lane from learning from other people and combining the lanes. You know what I'm saying? And I want him, like, he's gonna only get better, and then all of a sudden they're gonna look back like, whoa.
That's
you know what I'm
saying?
saying?
You said that. I swear to God, I was going to say that.
Because that style got me ignored when I first came home, and I went to a cousin of mine who was big in the music business in New Orleans, and he said rap. And I rapped. He was like, oh, that ain't gonna work down here.
Wow.
And just turned me away. You know, and so I kept at it. You know, and that's why I want him to keep at it and understand his history, like who he reminds people of, which is me.